Hello, welcome Karen DeMay. If you guys haven't met Karen, she's our newest town board member. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would anybody like to lead or just go?
Go right ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and like we had said before, Shauna is necessarily absent tonight, as is Pat Venetia. We have, just going, does everybody have the agenda and everything? I think our first real issue then is approval of the minutes. Are there any questions or concerns anybody had or issues on anything?
Kim, you got my one thing with the changing the renewable energy production. I overstated it.
I did not make that change, I'm sorry.
Okay, it was like up to 70% as opposed to, I think I said 80%.
I slipped my mind, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
So I will make that
But with
change.
that change, I move approval.
It's a bit of a stickler on it. Anybody want to second that?
Yeah. Second.
All in favor or any opposed? No? We're all good? Okay, then we'll approve the minutes. Privilege of the floor. Do we have any guests today or just Karen? I think it's just Karen. I don't think we have any guests.
Two of her up there.
Yes, we have double Karens. So I think one of them is frozen. So that could be what. Nothing being brought up, then we obviously, unless Kimberly, did Shauna give you anything to report from the development office or anything?
No.
Yeah, so we don't have any report from the development office or referrals from the CIC or town board or ordinance. So that brings us right straight into our first referral from the PRC regarding the Pro Cutters landscape location at County Road 46 or 2970 County Road 10. This is over near the former city transfer station and the new development on that corner as well there, the solar farm. Can you bring up, we'll give Kimberly a minute to bring up the sorry to roll through it that quick on you, Kimberly. Kimberly's like, let me go through the 17 layers here and get us to where we need to be. We can keep talking about you as kids if you'd like.
No, not necessary. I accidentally misplaced the login, like password and stuff you gave me.
Oh, I'll send it to you in a minute then. So I just don't want to.
See it while we're recording.
Yes.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does she, Kimberly, she has the same one that I have, correct?
The one down at the bottom.
Yeah.
I hope there's some negotiation.
Well, it's, you know,
Just-
I'm looking to do it. It's been long.
It's very simple.
I remember it being simple, and then
Taking
I
each other.
of course misplaced it right after.
I haven't used it in so long. It's a simple
One
thing.
of them was crying because he was being kicked and the other one was crying because I made him stop kicking. So then they spilled the cereal bowl on the dog.
Okay, so we've got that up now.
Hey,
Did anybody have a chance to review this at all?
I didn't visit it. I looked at the site plan and the wetlands, which do involve the kind of the southwest corner of the site. But I didn't spend an awful lot of time on it. Were there specific issues that the PRC wanted us to address?
I was at, I believe it was either the planning board or the PRC committee meeting on this, and I don't remember any particularly sticky spots in the process.
Looks like they're trying to avoid the wetland area as much as they can.
Yes.
It's good.
I know they said they had a number of parking spaces because of a large amount. They have large landscaping trucks and they don't anticipate a lot of customer parking there. They anticipate a lot of employee in and out and parking there, as well as mulch piles, things like that. They did indicate that they want to landscape the road. If I'm remembering correctly, they want to landscape the road on County Road 4. What is it? Not 4, it's 46 in there, isn't it? So they want to landscape that to be kind of a show place for their skill as landscapers. So they do want to have that.
I
have a
got
nice-
this, we got this from Shauna.
Great. Okay. Yeah. What is that?
She said the only review tonight is the pro cutters.
Yeah.
It is straightforward and they're staying out of the wetland area.
Yeah.
Landscaping along the front could be increased with some suggestions from the board. They are not allowed to see on site, so it would only be contractor's yard versus a retail location for mulch and stuff.
Do you know what kind of paving they're anticipating or what kind of
What are they gonna be
the
planting?
cover of the parking area there?
It didn't
Reference to a gravel driveway, but I think it's
Okay.
asphalt for the.
Does that still have the infrastructure there from when it used to be the transfer station? I haven't been over there in a long
Haven't
time.
been on the site for long.
I know when I went through the solar project, I mean, a lot of that wetland area was delineated. Yeah, I think there was like continuation or stuff.
Oh, this is that same area.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, as long as there's not a lot of runoff headed to the wetland that would be carrying motor oil or,
Right,
uh,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
chemicals of any sort.
Do you have the Encore, you have an Encore
I-
tab?
I can open it.
It looked like there's a stream that runs along County Road
It's
46.
really wet
It's
down in
just-
there.
It is
Yeah.
very
it's
wet.
just
Yes.
Exaggerated swale.
And it's also, I believe it's pretty much where the old transfer
Mhm.
station
It's
used to
pretty
be.
flat. It's
Yeah.
true, but nevertheless, you're pretty close to wetland and stream.
Yeah.
That would be my only concern is
Mhm.
what stuff runs off of vehicles. You know,
Leaks out of them.
and leaks out of them and, you know.
I don't know, would a
lawn
gravel,
Chemicals for
Yeah.
landscaping.
would a gravel surface be better for that than a impervious
Hard.
surface?
Depend on where, how they might drain, if it's impervious, if
Yeah.
it's, as long as it's, you know, French drains or something that would put it down really low,
Yeah.
below the surface of the stream or something would be, or to filter it if there's enough space.
Yeah,
You know, that's one thing. If it's too close, that's another.
the only overall thing I think for them is like, I didn't look at the actual site plan, but a designated wash area or cleaning area where
Mm.
Yeah, they
those
need that.
chemicals are gonna be concentrated when they clean out their
Yeah.
stuff during the day. 'Cause
Yeah,
we've
they-
run into issues with that.
Mhm. They
sites
need
to
a
work.
mixing pad for if they're doing bulk,
And then where's that
mixing,
wastewater
yeah.
going?
Something that would contain it.
Is there a particular corner of this you wanted to see?
Looking at
just wanted to see that.
that stream,
good.
that blue line there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So I think it's the-
yeah, and you can
is
see
that, that
what's
blue
wet
line's
on
indicating
that
stream then? Okay.
area, yeah.
Is that stream or just the drainage
It's-
ditch?
Why it continues on. I don't know what qualifies for a blue
Yeah.
line on.
I know, that's what I'm
It's a-
wondering.
Like one of my backyard.
It seems quite straight for a stream.
Periodically black.
Yeah. Well, that would be my only caveat is that care should be taken not to direct any kind of automotive or chemical runoff toward the wetland and stream.
Will they be storing chemicals on this as well? Fertilizer? I don't know.
Pro cutters,
pro
sure they
cutters.
were.
I don't know if they
Yeah,
do.
they'll have fertilizer, they'll have chemicals, you know.
Probably solid
Pesticides.
liquids and whatever else.
Mhm. Yeah, so,
Hopefully somebody's monitoring.
well, there's probably some requirement for
Have to be licensed.
having a mixing pad, you know, the containment site for mixing bulk stuff.
Mhm.
You know, certainly put a lot of those in for farmers. Different,
I'm
you
sure they
know.
have like a secondary containment or something.
Mhm,
to have
right,
that for Yeah.
And they're not high tech or very expensive or anything, but they really do help to.
So do we have some official notes we want to send back to them then, that we're concerned that nothing's flowing into the stream or gully or whatever that is over there?
Wetlands, yeah.
The wetlands. I think it's wetlands behind the site too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's wrapped around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Around the
So-
solar panel there too.
I think it's great they're taking into consideration and acknowledging they're near a wetland and want to try to avoid it as best they can.
I think
so.
they have tried to keep everything out of
Yeah.
it, but, you know, the runoff will be the only issue that I'd see.
And you want to inquire as to what they're doing for the mixing of chemicals.
Yes, if they have, and we'd recommend, I think, a containment facility for mixing bulk chemicals.
Mixing and storage. all
Yeah,
has to sit there
storage,
for
the storage has to be
an entire
watertight,
season.
yeah.
Yeah, is the mulch just gonna be out in the open, or is there gonna be some
Yeah, it'll
form of
probably
cover?
be out in the open, but
Probably.
which can be problematic because the runoff from that is often acid, depending
Yeah.
upon what kind of tree they are mulching, you know.
Or what dyes they used?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
they're dying it, that's another thing too, yeah.
I mean, even those are usually just in those little bunkers or whatever that are concrete,
Mhm,
but sometimes they'll be open.
mhm.
Can you go back to the plan, Sean? Or sorry, Sean, Kimberly. Wrong person sitting on that side of the room.
What would you, what do you want?
I'm looking for their driveway plan and where they're putting the building. There, okay, thank you. Do we have any comments or concerns about that? Can you zoom in so we can see more specifically what those things are
Oh,
indicating on there? Can anybody read that over on the
No.
other side of the room?
It looks like those are mulch bins there
oh,
or something,
It says bunker and pad.
bunkers, yeah.
Firewood.
Okay, so
and
it
mulch.
looks like,
Yeah, it's pretty flat.
it is.
Okay, and does that indicate the surface there is
Yeah.
gravel as well? I think it says gravel down there on the bottom.
It says gravel drive.
Yeah, for the surface. Then can you zoom out again at the buildings and the parking spaces and such? Do we have any concerns about any of that?
No, I mean, there's
No.
no variances or anything. I mean, it's a pretty large area.
Mhm. Looks like, that, yeah. I think it cited it quite.
Yeah, most of it's away from
clearly,
that
as
stream.
most of
though.
it's as away as they can make it anyway. That's good.
Did their landscape plan identify what types of trees are gonna be putting in along?
Looking for. That's okay. Remnants. Oh,
Karen, you're not muted, FYI.
okay, thank you.
See if it's on here.
Leave it to the landscaper to put the detailed tree planting in
Of
there.
course.
wait, okay.
Generic trees.
Mhm.
So what would be good trees running along through that area that's gonna probably be moist?
Some sort of crab. Oh, there it is. That's what they're putting in.
I myself love sycamores.
Yeah, I know. I think a mix of evergreen and deciduous would be nice. You know, keep the mulch from going around. Yeah, sycamore, river birch, you know, white cedar, all those sorts of things. wetland tolerant.
Yeah, I guess the crab apples would be good for the rest of the animals in the area, so.
Yeah,
So for the pond, they're actually doing a wetland seed mix, which is great.
yeah, that's good. Tall grasses are great for areas too.
Nice
Bunch
riparian
grasses,
barrier.
yeah.
I will encourage everyone to speak up when they're in the meeting.
Oh,
Just because we get a lot of complaints that we can't be heard in the town board and other areas. So it is picking it up, but just make sure you speak up.
enunciate, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, cranberry would be a nice thing to, well, you know, bush types of things, bushes would be very good for
Do
that
we-
area.
Do you want to give them specific vegetation suggestions?
No, I think they probably will have things in stock, you know, things that they may want to put in, but
Yeah, show off their
they'll
wares.
certainly have the equipment so to do.
Mhm.
But just in general, wetland tolerant. And along the road, it would be good to have salt tolerant
Mhm.
species.
That's right. Yeah, what is good along the road that,
Well, bushes in general are more salt tolerant. River birch is more salt tolerant
Okay.
than some things are.
I see a lot of brown spruce.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Don't tolerate the salt too
You know,
well.
it's surprising, one of the things that tolerates salt well is the rose, it's invasive, you know, the stuff that was out at FLCC that had the great big rose pips on it. I'm
The
not-
rugosa.
Rugosa, right. That's very salt tolerant, but it is invasive. And so the only place I've ever recommended using it is on a cul-de-sac where they have the
Oh, it's paved around
island,
it. Yeah.
and it's paved around it, and it's salt tolerant. It will hang in there and it can't go anywhere
Mm.
because of the
Okay.
concrete around
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And they can dip the center of the cul-de-sac to infiltrate instead of bracing it. You know,
Yeah.
it makes a nice
Hmm.
planting there, just for future reference.
Interesting. Yeah.
I should stick it in the roundabout of 46 and 10. You know?
Do the Japanese beetles like them as well, or are they pretty?
They're fairly tough.
Okay.
They're fairly tough.
Because
yeah.
I know Japanese beetles love most rose
They love
bushes.
roses, yeah, but mostly they're pretty good with them. They're a really tough species. You don't want to turn it loose,
No.
but it has its uses.
Good to know.
Okay, so we're pretty much good with the consideration of just
Mhm.
confirming that whatever they're doing with their mixing pad and a designated washer clean area. Okay. Okay, that pretty much moves us on to old business, the town newsletter. So there was some question, do we generally, does Pat usually do the newsletter every month, or do we sort of rotate who does it?
We rotate. I
We
do
rotate.
have done a number of them. I did the last one, I think.
So I'll make sure I send a note out to everybody what the due date is, because it sounds like I'm one of the only, Pat and I are the ones I think that are getting the due date on the newsletter. It was March 29th for April. I'm guessing it's probably going to be the 22nd of April for May. It's usually about a week, like the Friday, about a week before the first of the month. So, and I saw the town hall display case. Very nice. Thank you, Edith. Any comments or anything for anybody?
No,
on that?
just that I think it's fun to recognize what you're seeing out there and to remind people not to pick them or dig them up.
Yes, that was pretty clear in your display.
Yes.
My
Well,
article too.
Yes, your article as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Right, well, you know, that's about it.
I know, my mother used to freak out about the trillium. Don't touch the trillium.
Yes, there are trillium out in
Mhm.
some of the parks
Yep.
that you will see. Yeah, Ononda, I've seen them.
You've seen it
I've
at the
actually seen,
Ontario County Park too.
Yeah, there's some, well, yeah, I was thinking town property, you know, it's pretty nice. It would be nice if we could get some wildflower seeding to put over in Blue Heron Park and some of that area. You know, there's a lot of grassland there.
Mm.
If we have some spare money, that would be a great place to get some started.
So are those would typically be annuals, or there's stuff that would?
They are self-seeding
They are,
usually,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
They fall over and dump their seed on the ground. It's kind of like Miller Park, you know, they let it grow through the summer and
Mhm.
whack it off in the fall, and so the seed scatters itself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's
yeah.
fairly effortless.
What do you think would be successful? Which particular wildflowers, if anything in particular?
Oh, anything that's a grassland flower, if you take a look, you know,
Yeah, there's lots of blends out there you can order.
There's lots of blends, yeah.
Annuals, everything.
Dennis Brewer had a couple of 100 pounds of wildflower seed that he was trying to think of something to do with. So I don't know if it's still around or not, but it was, it would be nice to do something with the Blue Heron Park, I think.
I think we can, between Kimberly and I, we can probably pass that on to the Parks Committee. I think is probably the right place to
Okay.
suggest that too.
Sounds good.
Okay, I had a couple notes that came up on under new business. The first one, probably the easier of the two. Shauna had mentioned that the tree team's doing an Arbor Day planting. And it was my understanding that our committee has some sort of budget available, and would we be willing to utilize that for assisting with the Arbor Day planting? Is that what you understood as well, Kimberly?
Yeah, some of it, because I know we've also committed to a third of the signage at Ononda.
Okay,
So.
what
yeah,
is our budget? I don't even know where to find
Shauna would be the one. to
Okay,
talk
yeah.
about.
that's-
I think it used to only be like a couple $1,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Or a few thousand.
I'll
Yeah,
have to
I
figure out
wanna
what
say it
that
was
is.
No
15 or
clue.
1800.
Yeah,
It was
might
like
have
an
got
odd
reduced, I
amount
don't know.
last year.
Okay.
so.
I should probably know that. I apologize.
But we'd have to vote on if we want to use some of the money for.
Does anybody know anything much more about that with the Arbor Day planning, or want to make a motion regarding that? Or it's something that I just saw Shauna shared, so I'm
Yeah.
just passing on the
Was there any
information.
other big, I guess, purchases that we planned on this year? I don't think there really was. Or big
Not
training
that I know
events?
of, but
How much do they want?
She didn't indicate, did you see anything?
No, I
well, we
didn't
could
see
vote
it.
to support.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which should be nicely indefinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
See
they
what
have
they
like, what
want.
they anticipate, like a tree or two, or that'll be out? coming out?
Yeah, it was far more nebulous than that.
Yeah, it was just supporting the Arbor Day planting.
Hopefully, your
it might-
support, so it doesn't happen again, what happened out here.
Oh,
It might be something as simple as soil or something, I'm
No,
not
I think they
sure.
were talking about
Actual
buying a
trees.
little larger tree.
a tree, I
Okay.
believe, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, do we?
That's my recollection at least.
Yeah, and it was during the CIC meeting, I guess, that this came up, so I was not really fully aware of what was going on other than the email that I saw asking about that. So do we feel okay making a motion to support, or do we want to wait till there's a more specific ask?
We absolutely support it.
I
Yeah.
think
More
it's
details
sometime in
Yes.
April, so it's
So,
April,
yes,
Arbor Day is April 22nd, so it's probably,
sometime around.
yeah,
there,
before our
Yeah.
next meeting, so.
Uh-huh. How about if we authorize Adeline to investigate and.
Make a motion for me to make a judgment call.
Why not?
At your discretion.
So
I'm always good at
percentage
offloading.
is there a dollar amount we'd be willing to go up to and not over, or?
We don't know what our budget is.
Yes,
That's
it's hard to figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay, a
yeah.
percentage amount then. How's that?
If it's like last year, it's over 1,000 that we have. I know that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
we could always say, $200 or
I
something.
think 200 would probably be a nice amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. I will make a note that we can do up to 200. And so they probably watch, they're probably only looking for like 115. And they'll be like, but if you want to do 200.
Maybe they'll increase, yeah.
The other note I had on new business, which is kind of a nebulous thing at this point too, was Gary, you had brought up potentially talking about solar energy development guidelines.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
curious,
Shauna
yeah.
had indicated
Yeah.
maybe that needs to go through ordinance.
Yeah, yeah.
so-
I saw, came across that looking at the planning board minutes,
Mhm.
looking at what became of some of our reviews. And I know in the past, we've looked at some of these are large scale solar development
Mhm.
projects. And we've looked at them, and I was under the impression that those were under some special use permitting process, which was set up specifically to protect, good agricultural lands. You don't want to put solar panels on top of high value farm lands. But this proposal is to take all of those agricultural zones and remove them from consideration for solar installation. So, I just don't see what is gained by that going beyond the special permitting process that's already in place. Other than, if some farmer has a couple hundred acres of land and he's got 10 or 20 acres that's not productive, which is low value land, and he wants to offset some of his expenses and would like to explore solar energy, this would preclude them from doing that. And then the entire area would be taken out of consideration. So I just it didn't make a lot of sense to me. What was the incentive for doing it, and what's gained by doing it, since they already have this special use permitting process. I don't know, Justin, you're a farmer. You probably have more.
I've already looked into it. So a lot of it has
What's
to
the
do
story?
with, so there is limitations for farmers that want to do it based on the infrastructure around them.
Yeah,
So if they don't have like the setup for 3-phase electricity, they're not gonna be able to do it
Yeah.
anyways, because no one's gonna want to invest in it.
right.
I would say, without seeing the specifics of it, all farms, I mean, it's like a 30,000 foot up view. A lot of these maps when they're determined based on soils that might not be accurate to, an acre or a couple acres here or there on the
Right.
property.
Yeah,
So any limitations where a farmer could have access to that, there's gonna be parts of the property, like you said, that aren't gonna be that great. So if it's marginal lands, it should be looking more in depth at the properties or
Yeah.
specific cases, because that might make more sense
right.
as opposed to the blanket. I don't know if it goes to the detail of looking at lands of state importance. I mean, those ones clearly have a little more
Mhm.
history of being documented. They're of more importance. Maybe those should be the focus.
Right,
Just a little more concise than the blanket coverage of
Yeah.
all of them. I mean,
yeah, just.
give the farmers their options. I mean, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I mean, libertarian side of me says, geez, who are we to tell the farmers? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
If there is a due diligence and review and a determination that, this is not taken out of use,
Yeah.
valuable farm. Do you know what
It's
thinking?
not
was
an
it?
area I've paid attention to
Okay,
yet.
yeah.
It's obviously something I need to check out.
Yeah, I was curious.
I mean, it also came up, recent ones with just like sensitive environments too, like where they're just gonna mow down like ash swamps and
Right.
stuff to put up solar.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't know if the net gain is a positive, but
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
if you're looking more specific instead of the blanket, I'm all for that.
Well, I think it's also, we need to pay attention to our scenic view sheds too. I mean,
Right.
there's some
Yeah,
places
that's
that
true.
make a lot more sense for
Mhm.
solar that are not, within the scenic view shed master.
Yeah, they're pretty strict about having borders now, surrounding them with conifers, so you don't see.
But also, I mean, we have one of these things somewhere is the land visible from Canandaigua Lake, that's
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, right
Yeah.
behind you, Gary. So I
Ridge
mean,
line, guidelines.
yeah, and that's, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
We all know how much a change can make, like, I think of Bristol Harbor and how, that changed the entire experience of Canandaigua Lake. And so when you get land visible from the lake,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And that's
large
the
scale
scenic-
solar,
That's the scenic
Yeah.
viewshed overlay.
yeah, and large
Is that
scale
covered?
solar can really,
Yeah. Although
know,
they
affect
wouldn't,
it too.
yeah, 'cause we were talking this area. here,
Yeah,
so it
different
probably
area
would
too.
not be,
and you've got over there behind you, Eric, is the strategic farmland protection area, and on the bottom there, right next to you, so.
With the agricultural
Mhm,
committee, we're talking more about that, what Gary just
Yeah.
circled, that specific,
mhm.
Yeah,
to focus on protection of that.
yeah. Was there any discussion about solar?
They didn't
I
talk
mean, they
about
didn't
solar.
come up.
No,
this
it was
time.
the planning board that was talking about solar. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think they all have like little projects they're looking into
Okay.
to
Okay.
try and
Yeah.
come up with, which might not be a bad idea for us. I mean, we can have our own little projects too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's not, yeah, and as a
to
new
make
member of
things
the
up.
committee,
Yeah.
I'm very interested in, I'm not sure where we have dipped our toes before, but I'm always
Mhm.
open to hearing some
Yeah.
ideas on that. so.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the soils, there are people who can look at the soil on site and tell what you've
Right.
got, if
Yeah.
this is absolutely
Yeah.
pottery clay, that's
Right.
one thing,
Mhm.
And,
That's my
and
house.
it does change,
Yeah.
pretty rapidly from one place to another in the town.
But there
So-
would be benefits, I mean,
There'd
because
be
then the
benefits.
grasses would get restored and marginal grounds won't have all that soil eroding. and
That's right.
Probably next to like the gullies and stuff that makes it
Mhm.
marginal, so I mean,
Right.
there is benefits to it
Yeah.
as well.
But yeah, there is there, and truly, if it's not just a blanket thing, they're, consulting with the Soil and Water District to come out and
Yeah.
really document what is there is
Yeah.
free.
Well, and I think for
you know?
larger planning purposes, we had been talking about potentially expanding the strategic farmland protection area. And that's more in the realm of talking about keeping large swaths together, because obviously farmers aren't going to farm 2 acres here and 7 acres there and 15 acres over there. They need a
Mhm.
good swath that's all kind of together. And so it was talking about maybe expanding that little green line over there down towards 5 and 20, I think is what we were discussing as
Yeah,
well. So.
that's true. One of the things that really struck me when I first moved to New York was the whole thing of the houses along the roads and the farmland in behind it,
Mm,
because that looked really strange to me, coming from where I did, Midwest, big farms, all
Drove 3
of this,
miles to get to the house.
Yes, it just, you think, these people, apparently, it looked like farmers might have sold off road frontage lots
Yeah.
to finance the farming in behind it. But that means manure spreading behind those houses. It
Mhm.
means chemicals. It means big machinery at different
Mhm.
times of the year
Mhm.
running day and night.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few conflicts about that. I've seen a few farmers out picking up silage, people's yards when they drove past, which. But it's just part of the landscape here.
Mhm.
But you're right, they need adequate pieces of land altogether,
mhm.
and that is looking harder to come by here. Which means the farmland protection and the town funding some of the farmland protection,
Mhm.
purchases of development rights and that
Mhm.
sort of thing is really
Easements,
important.
yeah. We've been-
How often do those come up?
We're
implications for
trying to really
PBRs.
expand as much as possible. I mean, there's the Purdy family, there's one that's being worked on right now. There's another one at the very far south end of town that they're working on right
Yeah,
now.
Brocklebanks around us has some.
You know, there's been
big
changes in
variation.
those programs because we were going through.
Yes,
And so the state changed certain requirements.
the size, yeah.
Changed out who could apply for it and
Mhm.
what's applicable now. But there are also new programs coming in that the town's looking into. So, I mean, it's evolving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
But
don't
it
know if
really
any-
is important to
Mhm.
Absolutely.
keep supporting those.
Mhm.
It keeps the character of our community. I mean,
Mhm.
those,
Yeah.
it's farms are space, you know, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
right.
If not, if you're not looking at any other benefit that you receive from the farms, it's the straight up protection of space. So,
Yes. I saw a fox cross from the road when I drove in tonight.
I got to chase a weasel around the house this morning.
Oh, I had a weasel in my house this winter too.
Oh, really?
Ermine.
I was like, what is that? I was like, this is amazing. Why are you trying to get into my house?
Oh, it wasn't in your house. Okay, that's.
No, I was underneath the steps and I was
Oh.
like,
What's your
You're like,
chickens?
it's spring. You can find someplace better now. That's a
Mine was
November
my
activity.
mother.
yeah, I was probably going after the chipmunk that lives around the house or all the voles we have.
It's better. We had a mink that lived in our boat for a summer. That was a lot of
Yeah, I found one of those on the road a couple of years ago.
fun. Mhm.
Somebody got.
They're nasty.
Good to have wildlife.
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
Very good.
My brother got rid of it by driving 40 miles an hour in the middle of the lake. And then it was done. It literally jumped ship at that point.
Yes, well.
Okay, so did you want to discuss anything further about solar? You want to?
No, just that, I think we should be kept informed. I don't know if
Okay.
we want to, if there's agreement here that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Our interest in it, yeah.
Yeah, let's, I guess, leave it at that, but what I'm hearing, it seems to be consensus that a more individual assessment as opposed to a blanket
Mhm.
removal from consideration.
Case by case basis.
Yeah, determining.
I think if there needs to be like a more gross like limitation, then maybe look at more specifics, like the statewide importance or something like that, or town identified areas that we value that we don't. want
Right.
to.
I think at one of our other meetings, we actually talked about, a priori identifying areas, but not removing a whole agricultural district, but within.
Well, and I think that would have to go through ordinance before
Yeah,
it
it
went
would.
anywhere anyway,
Yeah.
and then get approved by the town board. So, I mean, as a town board member, and I'm sure Karen would agree, I would probably request some information and input from the ECB.
Sure.
Mhm.
Before we move forward.
Yeah.
One of the
with
other
that.
things too is, I don't know how that would impact any farm trying to put in solar to offset what they're doing. I don't know if that would limit their ability
Yeah.
to do that.
Small follow-up.
Or what the requirements would be. We certainly don't want to do that. I mean.
No, right, yeah, if somebody for their own,
Like a large
Their own
dairy
use,
farm or
large-
something,
yeah,
they want
exactly.
to offset.
would probably otherwise
Personal
qualify as a
size,
large
yeah.
scale, but
Yeah.
it's not going into the grid or for income generation. Yeah.
Okay, so do we have anybody here from the CIC or any report from the CIC? Can you want to share?
What did they talk about the other day? Tuesday seems so long ago now. It was parks and the tree team. They shared on Tuesday. And let's see, parks talked a lot about Ocean Junction, and that's moving along. And there is multiple phases to that, and people are really excited even from like, to travel to this area for that. Trying to remember, there's the Arbor Day Planting for the tree team. You guys are looking at creating a document that homeowners could use
Yes.
for recommendations.
Mhm.
You probably know more.
Well,
'Cause I forget a lot
we're
of stuff
trying
now.
to compile a list of recommended trees that,
Oh, that's
for
right.
various uses. And we held a session for the parks employees to learn about proper pruning of trees, and went to Miller Park and did a few of them. Then Marion was giving, oh, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Masterclass. Good charge for
On
that.
behalf of the ECB, I took coffee and donuts, so.
Thank you.
Well, it was their coffee break time, so I, it was 10 o'clock, so I thought
Great.
we should honor that. But it was really a good session. We did some trees and talked about proper equipment and proper pruning, and it left a bunch of trees looking a whole lot better. We got through there
Where were you?
at Miller Park.
Miller Park.
Yeah. And it was a very good session. The two park employees, well, and the park chair, the head were there, and we all learned a whole bunch. It was great.
I'll bet.
He's very
He's so
knowledgeable.
knowledgeable.
Very, very, yes. If you ever get a chance to go around and listen to them talking about the trees that you see, it's a classroom. It's wonderful.
This is senior or junior?
Junior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's.
Yeah, it was very good. I've always learned a lot every time I
Mhm.
hang out with them. So,
Oh, I found some of my notes from the CIC. So their big pirate ship is up.
Yes.
It's kid approved too.
Kid approved. They said it was very busy.
Both
And
parties.
because you got the bigger pirate ship across from the smaller one.
Mhm. Now they can go into war with one another.
They can go to war with one another. Let's see, they're planning on a birthday bash at Ononda. Basically, people can have birthday parties and then Babcock at Ononda. So they're building a community fire pit at Ononda. Program is with the city again this year. We have art camp, the story time STEM, Special Olympics program. That's it.
Sounds perfect.
So they have a lot of things going on. And so Lindsay can share about any of that if anybody's interested. Or read the CIC notes when you go back.
That's true too. You can do that too. We have those skill sets. Eric, are you on the local history team?
Yeah.
Is that you? Do you have anything to share?
No, there's actually a soiree today at 5:30 at the Ontario County Historical Society. And Sarah Lind is very excited about it. It's been a more open meeting, and we're going to talk about resetting long-term goals for the history team, expanding the mission, so to speak.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to what people
That's where
have
is
to-
that? That's at the Historical Society?
What's that?
That's at the Historical Society, you said?
Yeah. I'll have to leave. a
We'll
little-
make sure we
little
get
bit
you out of
early.
here in about 5-10
Mhm.
minutes then. So,
Little
and
bit
I hope,
early.
did everybody see the new maps on the wall coming
Yeah.
in? So
Cool.
those
They're
are
great.
great. Yeah. I think might have been a road through what became my house. I have to talk to Sarah Linda about it because the road goes through what is now one of her family's homes. So I'm like, I have to ask her about that. So anything else from the history team at all?
Nope.
Is anybody here on the town tree board? You're on the
Just me, yeah. I think
Of course you are. I don't even know why I
answered.
Any more comments on trees? Okay, you've shared everything. And then this is just note future training opportunities. We've got all our strategic goals coming up for the
There's
year.
the training on the 22nd.
Yes, is anybody going to that? besides
Yes, I
me?
am.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm all signed
Did you
up.
see all that?
I did. I need to like sign up for
Yeah.
some of that
Are you
stuff.
available for any of those at all, or?
How
Is it-
early were some of them again?
It's basically 9 to 4, so on a Friday.
But there is a sexual harassment one that
It's
starts that I
mandatory.
think we're all required.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Or
the,
to
that's the
take
first
it
one,
at
I
some other
think.
place and, you know.
Yeah, I think that one is the first.
Correct.
Can ask for that time off, probably,
And I
so.
so signed up.
I think
for
you
the
have a
whole
boss
day.
who's very.
I did.
I'm gonna be in North Carolina.
You're
Yeah,
missing the fun
that's, yeah, the
stuff.
sexual harassment part is 9 to 9:50 on the 22nd.
I don't know if I got that. I thought you were talking about the other optional meetings that have been
Okay,
and other things.
so let's make sure you're in there.
Because I signed a lot of stuff
Bring 'em along.
last week, but they said I'd fill out those forms once I'd actually done the actual
Okay,
stuff.
yeah, so this, can you make sure she gets that, or do you want me to do that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
send it
if
over.
you can make sure she gets that application thing, bro. It's basically, so we have a certain number of hours to be on a board that you have to take, and this is one option for taking some of them, as are all of these things that are listed here. But that would be a good, if you have that time, it's Friday the 22nd at 9, that'd be a good time to at least take that part of it, so.
And just register online by the
Mhm.
15th.
There was a sign up genius for it also. Yeah, let me know, or Kimberly know if everybody didn't get,
You didn't get it, right?
I don't think so.
which makes sense, being new, but
I received an email. Was there something else to get?
there was a sign up genius that went out, was that last week, Kimberly?
Oh.
I think it was.
let's
Let's see.
see.
No, that's
It
how I
was end of
Guys,
March.
maybe, see, sometimes they might send me stuff that maybe I'm supposed to be sending on to you all, and I'm not aware that you're not getting it.
Well, I
so,
got one from Shauna and signed up on that, so.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah,
I
I
see.
just, if anybody else needs to let me know when I send it out, send it to Eric and Megan.
Okay,
Yeah, it's through sign up genius, so,
fill up my day.
Yes.
yeah. So, yeah, it's the municipal training day, so, hang on.
This is being Zoom, I'm gonna be out of.
It does
They
say
are
Zoom
doing
is an
Zoom as
option.
well, yes, you can do Zoom or in person,
You don't get the free food though.
no.
Yeah, no. free food.
You get to, and you get to pick what kind of food you want too.
Oh, wow.
Very.
That's real fancy.
I mean, it's pretty cool, so, let's see. Well, between Kimberly and I will make sure that everybody gets access to it somehow. Thanks for the reminder on that, Kimberly. So, and then, yeah, obviously, any of these other training opportunities, if there's something that interests anybody or something new that you're looking for in there, I know I'm doing a couple of these, what's it listed under municipal boot camps,
I
the,
think there's a couple coming up. I think there's one on
Yeah.
solar coming up.
yeah, there's April 20th, this Here Comes the Sun, shaping solar and battery storage projects. May 19th, there's Keep the Grass Green and the Water Clean, your role in seeker reviews. So those are two that would be useful as well. There's a history one on October 27th. So a couple of those look like they would be useful for us. And I know also Megan just shared something with everybody that was about invasive species too, so.
If you like to listen to things, it's a nice thing from the DEC in general.
So,
I know there's a training coming up in Batavia. I'm not gonna go to Batavia, but I know there's one coming up that has. I'm not sure. Let me see.
Also, that link isn't working for me. It's telling me it has an error.
The one that I just sent?
Yeah,
Oh,
it says page not found.
I would contact Sean and then just.
is that the sign up genius one?
Yeah,
I wonder if there's specific emails that are in there that can access it or something.
It might be because it asked me to please log in for certain stuff. So
Okay, yeah.
when
yeah,
I
there is a Genesee, whatever, it's the
Genesee.
Regional Summit Series. That one's coming up.
Tennessee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council.
Council.
There you go.
Guller,
I've been around a long.
Guller, there you go.
If anybody's interested, I can send you I got that email. This one right here.
Mhm.
And they have like an all-day sort of training, so if you need other hours, there's someone too.
Where does it list what hours people have and don't have? Do we have a list or who's keeping
I
track?
believe Shauna
I think
is
Shauna keeps.
Shauna, I
the
guess.
list keeper, so if you get training for different things, to let her know.
Okay,
Okay.
Great. All right, and then the only thing I just remembered is you had sent out and maybe wanted to discuss the City of Toronto's native species.
Yeah, actually, the city of Toronto, I found that they had, I had gotten cued in through a Facebook, don't we all, right? But they had town codes that required native plantings and different things like that. And basically it was different natural areas that they were looking to protect. So it wasn't all of Toronto. But I'm not familiar with Toronto, but they had like a ravine area. And then there was other part of their natural heritage system or something like that it's called.
They had very stringent, I started looking through that,
Yeah.
you couldn't cut down any tree that was bigger than like 30 centimeters in diameter without a permit in the city of Toronto.
And they had
It's like, wow.
they had percentages of native plants that you needed to plant. You were required to keep trees watered for at least 2 years.
2 years, I saw that
I'm like,
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, well,
you have to have a watering plan for
Yeah,
anything.
so it was, and they split it, there was like, for municipal property, there was the one, there was one for like big, tall developments. and-
Mid to high rise residential and
Ex-
all non-residential. looking at it
Exactly,
right now.
exactly, so, so they split it up, so I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea to like kind of split things apart, you might be able to, get some of that through a little easier than just, the whole town.
You could do things by zone as well. by zoning
Or
as well,
zone
so.
or whatever.
but-
yeah.
But obviously some of it was way too restrictive for what we would be looking at, like the 30 centimeter tree cutting down thing. That'd be pretty hard to enforce across townwide. But some of them, yeah. I mean,
But there
were some
was,
to learn
there was
from.
definitely some ideas that could be leveraged.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to check out. Okay. Did anybody have anything else they want to share, or should we let Eric go to his soiree? I think that's what he called it.
It's gonna be food.
A soiree.
For sure, dig it.
Well, it is the history committee, so maybe it is a food nanny. Okay, great. Well, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
We can adjourn the meeting then. It's 5:22, so
I didn't actually did it first.
I think it
I did.
was
You did.
Edith.
Thank you.
Yes.
She's in charge here, I think.
No.
I'm pretty sure you are.